Jennifer Reardon Foundation. Jennifer Reardon is my sister-in-law, and we have continued to honor her spirit in many different ways of kindness, as well as her mantra for being kind, loving, caring, and sharing, really to a great level because of the support of people like Doug Bishop, who is here with me today, and I'll introduce in a minute, but just really the way that and not even the community, but the world has embraced the tragedy that our family had gone through, and really has focused in on trying to make the world a better place. And it is just incredible when I look at all of the different aspects of kindness. I mean, it enters into every single industry and every single community in different ways. And if there's a good message here, it's the fact that all of these communities can come together and share all the good instead of always having, you know, terrible news that we do have to face, unfortunately, on a daily basis. But this is a great way to really be able to live life and feel good about what you can do for somebody else, and then makes you feel good. So anyway, my pleasure here today to introduce everybody to you, Doug Bishop. And it is my pleasure. Doug is the Senior Director of Healthy Living and Communications at the Greater Burlington Y, the beautiful new Greater Burlington YMCA. But Doug and I had the pleasure of working together back in the good old days at the original location over there on 266, and you moved on up, and it's just a fabulous facility with all of the same core values in place that resonates. I used to do some driving for Uber, and I still do on occasion when I have a chance. I just love it. And I'll drop people off at the Y, and we just have the greatest stories of things that have impacted them from their visits to the Y. Some are coming in from out of state, just once a month type of thing. But I want to obviously introduce you. Thank you so much for being here and for all of the fabulous work that you do, Doug. I hear from so many different people that you've touched so many different members of the community in ways that have really transformed their lives, and that's just a beautiful, story to be able to tell. But it's on you here. I'd like to hear how you are, but also the mission of the Y for those people that might not know, because the good thing is the Y in Burlington is the Y in Burlington. It's not the one that's out in San Diego. We're all different. So you tell us.
We all are different, but as I'm thinking about our mission, I think in some ways you've kind of encapsulated it there informally, in that people have stories to tell. We often ask people we meet in the community, do you have a Y story? And so many people do, often with our Y, which is great if they're local, but sometimes with other Ys, other Ys around in the country. And when we see that we've had that lasting impact, that whether it was a swim lesson, a group exercise class, whatever it may be, early childcare. That's my Y story. My son started with my son, who was early childcare here.
And how old was he when he started?
He was 2, or just shy of 2, when he went to the early childcare program. That at that point they were operating out of some space at Edmonds.
Right.
And that was wonderful for him.
Fabulous.
So that was great. And even further back, again, a Y connection. My grandfather, when he moved from outside of Boston, Medford, Mass, to New Rochelle, New York, outside of New York City, for a job in the 1930s, as he went down for that job, he didn't have a place to stay, and often, as young men would do back then, they stayed at the Y. Now, I don't know whether he stayed there for 2 weeks or 2 months, but for him, that was first home base, and that connection and that community. And that was 90 years ago, but that desire to form connections remains central to whatever it is that the Y does. So I'm honored to be part of the Y and our mission, and I'm glad to be here with you. And I think what you're doing for Jennifer is at the key of kindness. It's doing something for somebody else, and it's for her memory and honoring her, and I love it.
Thank you so much, Doug. That means a lot. Her legacy is certainly strong, so that feels great to be able to talk with people like you and find out different things that are happening locally and even beyond, because I know the Burlington Y is recognized on a much higher level. Even Y of the USA in Chicago has always been very appreciative and very impressed with the level of programs that exist here in Burlington. I mean, it's a city, but it's small compared to many other locations that where Ys are located. And so the fact that so many good things happen here is just beautiful. And I'd love to have you just share, obviously along the lines of the mission, but how you see kindness on a day-to-day basis at the Y as a result of the mission that you serve.
Sure, I'll tell you a little bit about our mission, quickly stopping off on how we got there. And we've been in Burlington for more than 150 years. In fact, RY opened just a year after the city of Burlington was incorporated as a city. So it's a deep history, and the services we've delivered have changed, but it's always been community focused. What does the community need? So 150 years ago, it was something then different from what the communities that we serve need now. And we're actually in the process of a strategic planning right now. Started in May, we'll finish at the end of the year, start of the new year, to figure out, is there something new or different that the community needs out of its why in addition to what we're doing?
Fabulous.
But now we are in youth development and healthy living and social responsibility, our three pillars, if you will, foundational pillars. The healthy living plays out largely at our building at 298 College Street. So that's fitness, traditional fitness, group exercise classes, use of fitness equipment up on our second floor, and general wellness. And then youth development, we have early childhood programs.
Right.
We have the whole north wing of that beautiful new building is dedicated to early childhood programs. More than 100 kids we serve in that program, and about 6 weeks, 8 weeks to 5 years old. We also operate in a partnership with the UVM Medical Center, an early child care center in Winooski for medical center employees.
Fabulous.
We've had a long, I think it's a 20+ year relationship
Yes.
doing that. So that's wonderful. Youth development also plays out in school age programs. By school age, we mean kindergarten through 6th grade or so, and sometimes a bit older. That's after school programs in communities like Waterbury,
All over,
Fairfax,
right? As well as
Underhill,
on-site.
Georgia. So a number of after-school programs, and in the summer, many of them convert to summer camps. Parents, with respect to the child care part of that program, they still need care while they're working during the summer.
Right.
Their need doesn't end on the last day of school. So we run summer camp, day camp
Right
programs.
from those schools.
From those schools.
Fabulous.
And we have a 120-plus-year-old overnight camp up in North Hero, Camp Abnaki, a boys' overnight and now a day
I know it well.
day camp.
Yes, yes.
Fabulous place. It's incredible. It's just a beautiful
Life-altering.
location.
Yes.
I
What an
think
opportunity.
a common theme throughout, particularly all of those youth development programs, but in everything we do, role modeling, and that includes elements of kindness, which I think show up in our core values. The why core values of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility play out in everything that we do.
Exactly.
We-
And that's always been the case. I
Always
know
been the
back
case.
when I was there, a decision wouldn't be made unless if it
Exactly.
incorporated those core values, which is beautiful. And that's how I feel about like Jen with her mantra and folding that into anything that we do. We can go think about something that may be kind, but it doesn't maybe meet the needs of that community. So that's what you have to find, just as you're doing with your strategic plan.
Right.
Things have changed and ways to reach out to people so that they know that they have support. That has changed a lot. So the Y has always been phenomenal with that. I mean, through the pandemic, complete turn, do shift gears, all of a sudden you're prepared for that. So it's very impressive the way that the staff has always risen to the occasion and can do things that will really impact the community's future in a positive way.
And I like to hear how you say that when you were at the Y, as true today, that we use those 4 core values as a filter when trying to make decisions. It's also a great opportunity, and we've got signage all around our building, whether it's in the aquatic center, the gym, the fitness center, stressing, naming those core values, what they mean. It also helps, therefore, in conversations. If it's not just among staff, but with a member, if we're seeing something, like, do you have a moment to talk? And I saw this. We've got a core value of caring here. I'm just wondering, how does that,
What a
how does
beautiful
that
approach.
action
Right.
fit in
Enlighten
with
me.
that? Help
Because
me
sometimes,
understand.
you don't understand necessarily where they're coming from, and then it's a whole new scenario. Once you get the fact that there could be something that you're not seeing there.
Right.
But, again, thankfully with the diversity that, the Y has and brings together, some of those words are foreign to people. They don't know. And so what an opportunity, and even personally, when I started at the Y, was my first opportunity with, nonprofit, and it's a different mindset. And it's a beautiful experience to be able to look at things through that lens purely. And that's what I love about the Y is obviously every organization needs money. But when the mission is, so pure, it's great to see how the community does support the initiatives that you've put in place, whether it's programmings or donations, but the reputation is stellar for the results and outcomes that have taken place.
And we get the opportunity to touch so many lives in many different ways. Take the aquatics program, and again, we can we can incorporate those 4 core values of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility right down to something like a swim lesson, where we've already had more than 800 kids come through swim lessons this year. And we've got 2 more sessions to go before the end of the year. So we've got that kind of impact to not only teach the hard skill, the life skill of swimming and water safety, most importantly.
Yes.
We don't need to create Olympic swimmers. We want people to be safe and enjoy the water. But we also have probably close to 6,000 or more than 6,000 members right now. So think of all those people. It's approximately 1,100 people a day, whether it's walking through our door for health and wellness, participating in early childhood, at an after-school or summer camp program. Put those all together, and we have the opportunity to touch 1,100 people a day, their lives, and impact them. So why would we not do it in a way that models kindness and our core values? So it plays out day to day. Sometimes we find ways to emphasize it a little more than others, and you and I have talked about something that the Y did this past winter, and it was a kindness wall.
Love it. Absolutely.
What we wanted to do is, we've all been going through a lot in this pandemic, the last 2.5 years, is to pause for a moment and ask people to share something, a thought of kindness. A lot of it was wonderful in that it was appreciation for Y staff for all that they had done to get them through, to get this whole community through that comes to the Y and the broader community. And I see up on the screen now, is that, so we got messages from folks and we put them up. That's the wall inside of a glass conference room we have in our lobby. So everyone who comes in and out of the main part of our building walks right past that. So we invited people in to share a message of kindness, but it went beyond just that appreciation, right? So we start to see some of the messages. It was beyond appreciation just for Y staff. The people who are sharing messages, the one that's up on the screen first, I think really encapsulates it very well, how one thinks about kindness, in that it starts with thoughts, it goes to your words, behaviors, habits, values, and your destiny.
Love that.
Someone quoting Gandhi.
Yes.
And that holds
How
true today.
reinforcing is that? Absolutely.
And I think that gets into, I like the part about habit. It's really someone, you have to give a little thought to it, and you're not always in the mindset yourself where you're feeling kind or generous. But the more you do that, I think the more second nature it becomes.
So true, Doug.
Something else that we saw in a number of the messages and some that I selected to show today focused on self. Things like, times are hard, be nice to others and be nice to you. Remember that you are enough. We're all in this together. Or don't be too hard on yourself. You spend the most time with you. Make it a good time. I love that.
That is fabulous, and it's so true. Every guest that I've had on, we have made reference to the fact that it's truly about self-care. It can't start anywhere unless if you're saying, it has to feel good for you. That's not a selfish thing because you want to be kind to somebody, but it starts there because sometimes if it's a change for you, it can surprise you just how great that really makes you feel. And by doing that, again, you're focusing in on how can I feel better today? And what a great alternative to be able to make somebody else feel good. And then later on in the day, you can think, I made a difference today. And in this day and age, there's a lot to be said for that.
I think sometimes about a distinction between selfish and selfless. I know a lot of people who are warm, wonderful people who I wouldn't for a moment think of selfish, but sometimes do they take the extra step to think about being a little selfless? What can they do for somebody else? Because I'm not sure everyone understands the impact that they can have.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. I saw some of these messages touched on that, just the small kindnesses.
Make the difference when
be
it's
kind
genuine.
and wave the other car in front of you, because at another intersection they're going to get someone that gives a different gesture perhaps. So why not take the opportunity to be kind yourself and usher someone across. Don't be in a rush yourself.
Exactly.
So the small acts, and I think those do build. Ultimately, as part of this kindness wall and inviting these messages, we thanked people by giving them a T-shirt that said "I am Y," and for us that reinforces what we're trying to do in generating a community at our Y of kindness.
Right,
And
those testimonials that the Y has, just is at the highest level.
Right.
Truly life-altering testimonials.
So here's a photo of Kevin wearing that "I am Y."
That's
wonderful
a great T-shirt.
Smile. So I have to say it warms my heart a bit when I walk in and I see someone has chosen to wear their "I am Y" shirt that day. And again, really imbuing those values, them understanding what we're about in trying to create a community. And it's something that we've always known. Anyone who works in the wellness area, fitness, wellness, some people use our aquatics, you have the opportunity to impact someone's physical health, and you always understand that there's residual effect on someone's mental well-being if they're feeling good physically, exercising. But that never became truer and clearer to us than during the pandemic. And the number of people that were so appreciative of us, the fact that we were open, the fact that staff were there and getting masked up, the ultra high protocols for cleaning and everything. And they're like, I'm working at the hospital, or I'm doing this, and I'm just at it all day long, that I can come down here and just come into this space.
Exactly.
Meant so much to them. And that was only possible because of our staff, mostly young staff on the front line.
But for mental health,
for
what
mental
that
health.
did for people.
What that did. So it drove home even more concretely for us and more clearly that vital role that we play besides being a set of weights upstairs or a fitness room for
So much more
Zumba,
than that.
a pool for swimming, laps, whatever it may be, that it goes well beyond that. So we're just happy to play that role.
And what I used to love, and to me, I always get this vision, is people check into the desk at the Y, and there could be 4 or 5 or 6 people even. And you have, like, the mom might go this way, maybe the dad goes this way, the sister goes this way, the brother goes. Everybody's got something to do at that time because of the level of programming. And then next thing you know, an hour and a half later, they're all right back in the lobby and all right, ready to go. And I mean, what a way, because on the kindness tour, the one thing that resonated so clearly was you can't really impact change in a community unless if you're getting to really the entire source. So in many cases, you can't just help, say, for instance, a middle school child that's struggling with different things, unless if you know what their home life is about and can address that and work on the whole system.
Yeah.
Because you can help just so much with one person, but they still have to deal with home life in those cases. And so to be able to address that and to have all of the, with grants and programming from Y of the, of the USA, all of the fabulous programs that are sometimes free, but if not very reasonable for people to participate in.
Always
and
available
those
with
connections,
financial assistance.
exactly. The financial assistance that you provide is life altering for families and for individuals, people moving to the area that might not, have a lot of money to get started. They're able to create their new community, and it changes the whole trajectory of their life. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's funny you mentioned that people coming to the Y and sort of feeling at home. There was a couple of messages where there was one, I think it was something to the effect of, I just moved here from out of town and I've come to the Y and I already feel at home, right?
Beautiful.
So what more could we ask for?
That could have taken years to happen.
And someone who can find connection. And we understand that power and somewhat the responsibility that we are a community crossroads. We are getting people of all different backgrounds, whether that's racial and ethnic, whether it's socioeconomic, whatever it may be. We are that crossroads, and we are thinking a lot in the strategic plan about what that means and how do we utilize that opportunity that we have to do more. And we're thinking, some of those thoughts are about civic engagement. We've all lost a little bit of civility at the broadest sense of civic engagement. Not
yes.
So is there some role we can play and be a neutral corner, if you will?
Right, and
for,
a great resource for people that really don't have all of the information, perhaps if they have just moved here from another country and the new Americans. It gives us an opportunity to learn from them and for us to teach people what they need to know even regarding our government. As you say, it's just so multi-leveled as far as the resource that you are, so far beyond just lifting some weights, for sure.
Well, and you mentioned, I'll just seize the opportunity, you mentioned the fact that the Y connects with and serves members of the new American population. But it's not without partners. I think of a Dr. Jennifer Green and others who have a clinic at the hospital that serves new Americans. She doesn't just worry about what's in the 4 walls of her clinic and using her stethoscope and checking blood pressure. She's always reaching out to us about aquatic programs, water safety programs.
Safety,
How can she further support? She's
and
giving
what a collaboration
further of
right there. I mean, that partnership is, again, just so impactful.
Yeah, and just an example that she understands that there's more opportunities out there, and that her job goes beyond. She exemplifies that kindness and seeing that her job is beyond the four walls or the corners of the paper
Right.
that describe what a doctor may do in that clinic. And we love partnerships like that. Another one within the aquatics department, about every other year we get a grant from Autism Speaks to make sure that we can provide at no cost adaptive swim lessons to
Fabulous.
kids and adults, largely kids, who are on the autism spectrum. Again, we want it to be a place for everyone in our facility, and so if we can bring more people in from who have diverse experiences, I think that
All the better.
also, I think ultimately engenders, when we're part of a community where there's so many different people of different backgrounds, it engenders greater understanding, and from that I think flows the greater opportunity and likelihood for kindness. So we try to find
as
those
those
programs.
relationships grow in ways that are different even from the way that relationships, have evolved in the past, but it still shows the importance of a relationship.
A
Through the
relationship.
pandemic, I think, unfortunately there was just so much mental illness, but having a resource like the Y, is better than anything that could happen when somebody's struggling for maybe having been alone for 2 years, and they can come into the Y and feel, even if somebody's like, hey, where were you yesterday? Oh my goodness, that makes them feel like somebody knows.
right.
And that, I don't mean to, make it seem simple, because the outcome is far from it, but it's those gestures that are genuine that you don't even realize how you can turn somebody's day around.
We work very hard to make sure all of our relationships, whether it's for a member, for a family taking a program, a donor, that it's relational, not transactional.
Yes.
We could just as easy run someone's credit card every month and take their membership fee, but we want more.
That's right.
We have the opportunity for more. We want them to feel they're getting more out of it and therefore deliver more to others. We were just talking and writing something up about group fitness classes. It's more than 15, 20 individuals who are in a class breathing heavy and getting their pulse
Yeah,
up.
it's a tribe.
It's
a tribe.
They
It
form
is,
relationships
yeah.
and support, and so we again value that opportunity and take serious that responsibility we have to
That
try
side
to
of it.
create more opportunities like that.
That's
So,
just beautiful.
and we've talked a lot about what we do at the health and wellness side, but boy, the opportunity, and I mentioned earlier in the context of being role models, whether it's early childhood or those school age programs, summer camps, after school, we take very serious that as well, because if we can model kindness and our core values from the very beginning at the early childhood programs and with school age kids, that's as important as anything else. And again, those programs go well beyond the title of a program or description of 2 or 3 sentences about what the program is. It meets these hours. We're going to do this, but so much more happens.
Right.
And a lot of that
And
happens
that is the culture.
because the people who opt to work in those, and
Right.
an organization like the Y is incredibly fortunate to have people choose to come to the Y so that they can connect with people. They can understand. We talk a lot about helping deliver on the potential of every child. Right?
Yes.
If we don't realize that there's potential in every child, we're making a big mistake. And so to help deliver on that and to have those people who take to that so strongly and so immediately.
Right, it's a different, type of dynamic than they may have at a for-profit facility or just a different industry in general. It is a different approach, and that's, as you say, very fortunate to have the people, yourself included, that are here at the Y for the good of others. I mean, yes, it makes you feel good, but can you think of an example, Doug, when you talked about role models and maybe the after-school programs or the camps, of a scenario or a story where that leadership really did twist the culture in that program so that children were being more kind to one another?
Well, I think, where I see most visibly, literally on the back of the shirts for our Camp Abnaki staff, it says role model.
Yes.
Right?
So they know what that means.
We're reinforcing that for everyone there. But it's true, I think, and I hope he doesn't mind me talking about him in this forum, but our current camp director, Brian Roy, started as a camper.
I know Brian Roy.
You know
Oh,
Brian.
my
He's currently
goodness.
our Camp Abnaki director.
I went to school with his dad.
He started as a camper.
Yes. Oh, he
And
was Mr. Abnaki, wasn't he?
He acknowledges and shares that his family needed a little support.
Right.
So he and his brothers
Oh.
could attend Abnaki.
Oh, there were 4 of them.
But boy, he took in what it meant to be a role model and what one gets out of that experience.
Beautiful.
It can be transformative,
Yes.
as I think it was in part for Brian, I'm not going to say Abnaki alone made the difference for Brian, but it meant enough that he came back to it.
Exactly.
But the opportunity that we have, and an overnight camp in particular, is a place where kids have the opportunity to truly be themselves. You see them, particularly if it's a 2-week session, as it goes through, how they just
drop
kind of
some of their barriers.
drop some of those barriers, and then you really have the opportunity to make a difference. And I heard this in the context of a college football coach, but I think it's true in an opportunity that we have with youth at the Y. College football coaches ask ones, how are your boys this year? Kind of like, what's the prospect for your win-loss record? And he said, I don't know. I'll tell you in 20 years when I see how they turn out.
Oh,
right?
geez, how perfect is
So
that? Yes.
Same at the Y, and that opportunity to see. I credit the Y with, my wife and I will take some credit, but our son.
Sure.
I think he's grown up to be a fine young man, and it started with many things, including the care he had and the attention and support he received.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
In a Y preschool program.
Yeah, Matthew and his friend were at Camp Abnaki for 5 summers and had the time of their life. It was just a time. That's what they talk about if they get together now, all these years later. There's some great memories there, and there's a little bit of freedom. But as the time goes on, they let themselves go, and I think they even get more in touch with themselves. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, that's in that camp we get letters of appreciation from families, and the parents remark about the changes and responsibility. Again, one of our core values is he's now clearing his dishes from the table.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Little things, but really
Who is
transformational.
this person that came home? Did we pick up the wrong kid?
Right, who is this? But they see a larger transformation in helping them. The motto at camp is help the other fellow.
Yes.
Right? So what better, I think, message of kindness than to help the other fellow? Because isn't that sort of what it's all about in the way that things play out? So.
But with that, as we do wrap up, Doug, could you just fill us in maybe with the website, but also, for Camp Abnaki and these other programs, how can people donate if they did want to support like a camper or,
Sure. All of, we have a new website we launched in the past year, GBYMCA. So
Greater Burlington.
GBYMCA.org.
Okay.
And on that page, you can find about all the programs we've been talking about. And we very much encourage people to make a donation. We make it easy. There's a number of places on the page.
There you go. Okay, good.
Either
So
at the
it's just a
very
matter of getting
top
to the
or the very
website.
bottom. Yeah, GBYMCA.org. Learn about the programs. And last year I think we gave out $340,000 worth of financial assistance. High quality childcare should not be out of reach for a family. Swim lessons and the ability to be safe around water should not be out of reach for any child. A summer camp experience that can be transformative. A membership so you can have the physical and mental well-being that you gain from working out. And we are a nonprofit. People sometimes forget that we're a nonprofit because we're kind of an interesting mixed model.
Exactly.
We charge for a membership and we charge for programs, but it doesn't mean we're not a nonprofit because we do so much. We do free water safety classes, all that stuff with Dr. Green and the Camp Splash, our water safety programs at no cost.
Exactly.
And so we removed the financial barrier, making ourselves a place for everyone so that everyone has the opportunity to enjoy
I used
those
to love
programs.
when people would have like the membership for all and some financial assistance for their membership. And then whether it was a year or 2 years down the road, they had been able to get a job because they never, all of a sudden they're giving money and talk about feeling good.
Absolutely.
I loved it. And I saw that happen so many times. Just what a difference a year or 2 or 3 can make. And then that person's on the other side being able to feel even better than when they received it. It's like, I'm giving this back.
That whole concept of paying it forward, right?
Oh, completely.
Paying it forward.
Completely.
We see that play out in instances just like that. We certainly see people who have been members and then donate. And then I think also with someone like a Brian Roy or other staff members who've had
volumes.
that experience of a Y program and what that meant to them, and that they're taking advantage of that now and sharing it back.
But his dad, Bruce, who I had gone to school with, is actually running for the House of Representatives. So that's very exciting, a new chapter in their life.
Another way to pay it forward through civic
engagement. That's for sure. Yes. Well, this has been fabulous. I know we could talk forever, and I hope that we can get together again and talk forever. But thank you for sharing all of the work that you're doing. And if somebody wanted to just go to the Y Now and check it out, is there a path? Can they just go in and get a workout and try to see if this is something that they want to do so they can try it?
Talk to the front desk. Talk to the front desk. They'll give you a tour, you can get a sense as to whether we have what folks need and whether we're the right place for you.
Good.
I hope we are. We hope we are. We think we are.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Doug. Great to see you.
All right,
okay.
you too.
Bye now.
Bye.